Okay, back to talking about when we got our cat we call Petey. First of all, I when I got a look at Petey, I saw that she looks just like a cat that I had years ago that I call un petit, which is little one in French. At least I believe it is. And so it got shortened down to Petey, and so this is why we call this one Petey because she looks just like the other one that I had years ago. But so we saw her in the road, and the other cats were coming at her and me. And I went ahead and I put my hand on her head, run my hand down her back of her neck, and said, "It's okay." And I picked her up by the scruff of the neck and put her against my chest. And I thought for sure that she was probably going to claw me because she'd been getting attacked. And she didn't know if she was getting attacked again. But I kind of think that she was probably in shock at this point because of how badly she had been attacked. And I went ahead not knowing for sure what to do, but figuring that she was probably a barn cat. Or then we were talking, and it's like, no, I think she was dropped off, and these others are the barn cats. And they're after her because that's their food. They wanted to eat her. And it was very obvious when we got her where we could get a good look at her. I got her in the car, and for a while, Josh went ahead and put her in his sweatshirt with him, or his jacket, so she was warmer, which helped because we figured she was in shock. And when she came out of it, first thing she saw was Josh. So she's always loved Josh. And it's like, hey, I'm the one that risked my life and got you, but that's okay. I'm just happy that she's okay. Because it turns out that those cats were eating her alive. They had bite marks all over her body. The end of her tail was gone. And they had actually stripped the flesh from one of her legs. It was just completely gone. And that was why she couldn't walk, why she was skittering. She was in so much pain, and she just was trying to get away from them. But there wasn't much she could do because there was a lot of them. I don't even know for sure. I would say probably 10 or so. I mean, it was just, they were everywhere. And they even were coming at me and hissing and growling because I was taking their food away from them. So I didn't know if they might attack me even just to try and get her back. So we got in the car, and Josh put her in his jacket with him. And she rode with us where all we finished our routes, which was quite a long drive. And usually I don't think cats are too great when it comes to being in the car. But I think a lot of it, she just was so relieved that she was safe, and she finally slept for a while. And when we got her home and we looked her over, we saw how bad her injuries were. And I know without a doubt, if we had not stopped and rescued her when we did, she wouldn't be here. They would have ate her, killed her. Um, so we took her home, got her cleaned up, and she just laid around for quite a while, healing, because she was in so much pain when she moved. And cleaned her wounds up with peroxide. And then, I don't know if you've ever heard of GSE, grapefruit seed extract, but we went ahead and we put, I can't remember for sure, but I think it was a drop or two in a syringe of water, and fed that to her. I'm thinking it was like a couple times or so a day to make sure she got enough water and that it's a natural antibiotic. And then gave her canned food because that was easy for her to eat, and she got more moisture from that too, and nutrition. So that was how we did. And I remember one night Josh had come outside. He was working on whatever, I can't remember for sure which vehicle we were in at that time. But anyway, he was working on the vehicle, and I was just so shocked that for all her laying around, all of a sudden she jumped. And because of her injuries, we didn't know if she would ever walk, run, jump, all of that. I mean, figured she would probably have trouble getting around because of how bad everything was. But the flesh, everything all healed. She healed up really good. She's been super healthy. We've had her for 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere around in there. I'm not even sure for sure. But I had thought at the time, we don't need another pet. We don't need another cat. We don't need another pet. We can't afford it. But then I thought, God put her in our life for a reason, and if she's meant to be in our life, then he'll make sure we've got where we can take care of her and everything will be good. So for the first while, since she laid around so much, we just wanted to be sure to keep an eye on her good. So while we were gone doing the routes, we took her with us, and she either laid on Josh's lap or we got her a bed and she laid in between the seats on that. And we went ahead and we got her a collar and got a leash so we could hook her, so she was hooked to the car. So she could run around in the car no problem, and we didn't have to worry about her getting out. Now, we didn't realize that that probably would not have been a big issue because of what happened to her when she had to go potty one time when we were en route. Josh went ahead. She was on the leash. He sat her on the ground so she could go, and she just completely freaked out. And so we ended up, we carried a litter box for her in the vehicle. And she used to love, she would get up, I think it might have been the Neon that we had at that time. She used to get up in the back window and she would be able to watch around and stuff. And of course on the routes we weren't going that fast, so it wasn't a really big deal. We were careful. But she used to love Sunday route because before the company changed, they used to wrap the bundles of paper in paper. And so when Josh pulled that off, he looked at the information on it, balled it up, threw it in the back seat. So, you know those ball pits they used to have at McDonald's? I don't know, they might still have them somewhere, but I heard a lot of kids were peeing on them, and so they kind of did away with them. But it was like a ball pit in the back seat. And Petey would get up on the back window area, up on the back ledge there, and then all of a sudden she'd jump into the balls and they'd go flying and she would wade through them, and then she'd jump up on it again and she'd do it again. She used to love that. Of course, she kind of missed when the company changed and they quit putting that on. We missed it too because it gave information that was important. When you're doing 4 or 5 routes, you need to be able to keep track of stuff, because if your papers aren't coming out right because somebody quit but they didn't let you know, it used to be on the information where Josh could check and see, okay, well, this is the route that we're coming up short because of, and he was able to narrow it down real quick. So that was something we didn't like, and Petey definitely didn't like. And I don't remember exactly why it was we finally decided to start leaving her home, because she did so enjoy being in the vehicle with us. And it was funny because, like, we would go and get gas, and people would be talking about, oh, there's that cat that loves to ride in the car. So Josh went ahead, and since we were planning on starting to leave her home, since she was healed and everything, he built her, I call it her apartment. It is, I believe it's like 4 foot by 4 foot, and then around 6 to 8 foot tall or something. It's 2 levels. She's got everything she needs in there. She's got where she can look out, corner windows, so she can look out 2 sides of where she is to see what's going on out in the yard. She's got a kitty condo that she can climb on it, get in it, and she can claw on it. She's got bedding and her litter box, toys. She's so spoiled. But she loves it in there, and she'll run around in there and jump from the top level down to the bottom level and back up to the top. It's like, man, I wish I had the energy she does. Of course, with the way I am because of the neuropathy and everything, it wouldn't be really great right now. But it's good that she's healed and she's doing so good. And hard to believe we've had her as long as we have. And kind of thinking about maybe once in a while taking her for a ride in the car again. I don't know. She doesn't seem to miss it, and I don't know how she'd handle it, but she might enjoy it again, you know, because she used to love going for rides in the car all the time, which I've never heard of another cat that loved to ride in the car like that. So that was, but it's probably because she was so little when we got her that she didn't really know anything different, and it was comforting for her to be with us all the time like that. And the driving wasn't too bad because it wasn't really fast, so it was probably kind of soothing to her too. But that was how we got our cat Petey. And I know some people are probably going to be like, well, why didn't you go ahead and find her home there? Well, we figured that she was dropped off, that was why those barn cats were attacking her, and that if we had left her, well, let's just say, if we hadn't got there right when we did, she would not be here, because they had already done so much damage. It's a miracle that she's alive and that she's able to get around like she does, and she's healthy. I'm hoping that she's like completely forgot what happened because of how bad it was. But she's also a very sensitive kitty. I've never had an animal that was sensitive. She's sensitive to red food coloring, which is really odd. But she, Josh had an energy drink one time and it had some red coloring in it. And she went by it, and all she had to do was get a whiff of that, and all of a sudden she was acting really weird. But then in a little while, we had set that aside out of the way, and in a little while, she was better again. So we're figuring it's because of that red coloring. And I know kids have had trouble with red food coloring, but I didn't know it would affect cats. So we have to be very careful that any food that we give her, that it doesn't have any dyes in it, especially red. And we wanted to get her fixed, but then it's like, well, she's in the house and in the apartment all the time. And when she does go, she goes in the car, she's on the leash. So we don't really have to worry too much about her getting pregnant and having kittens. I'd say probably not at all. But with her sensitive, we really don't want to have it done, because I had just finally gotten to the point, I was like, well, maybe we should, because we've always fixed cats before. And I thought, well, maybe we should. But then I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook, and somebody was talking suddenly about how they had taken their cat to get it fixed, and it died. And so I'm like, oh, with her being sensitive, I don't know that that's a really great idea, because you don't know if they might give her something, or maybe the anesthesia might be a problem. Who knows, and we've gotten really attached to her. She's our little baby. But she's also old enough now that we've had a male cat that's been coming down from a neighbor's. And of course, she's in the house. But she hears him, and then all of a sudden she starts meowing and catcalling, and she can go on and on and on. And I'm telling you, it'll drive you nuts. And so it's kind of bad when you would really like to get her fixed, so she's not going to be doing that anymore. But then there's really not a lot of reason, because of the fact that she's in the apartment, and even when she's out, she's in with us, and the doors are shut and locked, and there's no other cats going to get anywhere near her. So trying to figure something out, because she was really driving us nuts recently, and mentioned to the Facebook friends, and it just surprised me that even though I said there's no chance of her getting pregnant, she's in where no other animal's going to get to her, because even when she's out of the apartment, the doors are all locked and nothing is coming in, But then with her allergies and everything, and right now, because of that woman deboning us, we don't have the extra money to go and get her fixed. But somebody had mentioned, and I had forgotten, that we have a local pet friends that they help, and they could give us a certificate to get her fixed. But then we're back to the whole, she's so sensitive, and there's not really a huge reason for it. If we had her fixed, it would be for us, because it gets annoying when she meows and catcalls, but it's not something she has to have done. And with her health issues, with the sensitivities, I just don't see that we should put her in jeopardy of maybe the worst happening just to make us feel better, So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Somebody had talked about, well, maybe there was pills. Well, we can't afford pills right now either. Because of that woman T-boning us, I have not been able to work since she did that. And the insurance company still hasn't even paid for my car, let alone anything else. I'm fighting them on that. I got attorneys. And we're just barely getting by. Josh has to take care of me. He does a few odd jobs to help, to bring some money in to help pay the bills. But we couldn't afford to pay the property tax. And so now if we don't come up with over $3,000, they're talking about taking our home and selling it this next year. So we really got to have where somebody helps us or something so we can keep our home because of that woman doing this. And barely can keep food on the table, and we get food for the animals, and they're fine. But the animals that we have, they're rescues, and they've been through some really bad stuff. And they trust us, and they love us, and they're family. And so it might not always be the easiest. Maybe we'd like to go and run and go get something or do something or whatever. Of course, I can't run and do anything right now, but it's important that they're taken care of. And so, we just really don't have the extras for stuff because of how she did this. She's really affected our life negatively. But at least Josh can take care of me, help me. He has to help me back and forth to the bathroom and stuff. And when he works for some people we know, I can go so that I'm not sitting at home alone, because I can't really do that because of how I am. And so we're getting through. It's not easy, but we're doing it. And figure God will watch out for us and protect us and keep us safe. All right, we're over at the people that we know that Josh is mowing their lawn for them. So it's getting kind of loud. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Everybody take care. Bye.